Have you ever wondered what time of the day is best to exercise? While we may not know if it applies to all, but a recent study conducted at University of Sydney has provided an answer for people with obesity. Now, physical activity stretches or chunks of more than 3 minutes that makes one breathless reduces the risk of developing heart disease and type 2 diabetes. The kind of vigorous activity that makes one breathless increases one's oxygen demand, and so the heart rate increases so that it can supply more blood and more oxygen to the muscles that are being exercised. In stretches of strenuous exercise that lasts less than 3 minutes, the muscles can work even without oxygen, and it has found to be less beneficial. Researchers recorded physical activity that included more than 3 minutes of strenuous activity in 30,000 individuals using wearable devices, like the one that is used to count steps. Their goal was to understand what time of the day, morning, afternoon, or evening, is most beneficial for exercising in people with obesity. Now, these 30,000 individuals were tracked for 8 years to record the development of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or death. The researchers found that physical activity done during late afternoon or evenings is the most effective in reducing the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes in people with obesity. The researchers did not include the total time of strenuous exercise, which they suggest that should be studied in the future. Although self-control and willpower are used interchangeably, but lately the difference between the two has been recognized. Willpower can be thought of as an internal force to exercise self-control. That can also be achieved by using external strategies of incentives, restrictions, and punishments. Despite the effectiveness of such strategies, there seemed to be a reluctance in using external strategies for self control to achieve one's goals. Now, to understand this reluctance, researchers designed multiple tests which were taken by 2,800 participants in the United States. In one of the tests, participants were given $0.5 and asked to loan it to a hypothetical second player. Now, the amount would get tripled when received by the second player to $1.5, and the second player would now have the option to either keep it for themselves or split the half with the participant. More than 69% of the participants passed the money to the second player, who exercised their willpower to achieve their goal instead of using an external strategy like a blocking app to not get distracted. The scientists behind the study suggest that the use of incentives may be seen as an individual's admission of past failures to achieve something through self control, which is perceived as a moral failure, thereby diminishing their integrity. Thus, despite the effectiveness and acceptance of external strategies and incentives in achieving a goal, or breaking a habit, individuals who use them are perceived as less trustworthy. One of the interesting findings of the study was that the participants' trust did not depend on the usage of an external method, but rather on the choice that a hypothetical individual made to use it. The study also revealed that individuals are more likely to use incentives when they know that others won't find out. Mating boundaries exist between species, that is, an organism of one species does not mate with that of another species. This is true even for closely related species, like different species of mosquitoes. In a study conducted at Max Planck Institute for Chemical Ecology, scientists saw the mating boundaries between species dissolving in the presence of commonly occurring air pollutants like ozone. Ozone, when present in high levels, can destroy chemicals. The scientists found that ozone destroys pheromones in a type of insect known as fruit fly. So many species, including fruit flies, rely on chemicals called as pheromones for attracting mates. Now, what will happen if the pheromones are no longer present to guide the flies for choosing a mate. Scientists studied 4 different species of fruit fly to understand this destructive effect of ozone. In the presence of high levels of ozone, the female flies got confused and many a times chose a male of another species instead of their own species. This mating produced hybrid offsprings that were sterile, that is, they do not have the ability to reproduce. Thus, it appears that mating between different species can cause loss of species if the hybrid offsprings cannot reproduce. This breakdown of mating barriers may be one of the ways in which air pollution is causing a loss in the diversity of insects.